Put it in.
Great.
Okay, since it's 6:30, I'd like to call to order the regular meeting or the. I was gonna say regular meeting, it's sort of the regular meeting that we changed the date on of the Belgrade Select Board. I'd like to call that to order, and we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So just for the record, because I didn't get my words right, our regular meeting would normally be next Tuesday, but because of that's election day, we changed and we're meeting tonight, which is on a Tuesday. But it's not really a special meeting because it's our regular monthly meeting, so rescheduled, early schedule, whatever. It's on the record now, so.
We'll be able to decide that.
So we have everyone here, so that establishes a quorum for us. And when we open our meetings, we always have a period of time for public comment. So if there's anyone here or online that has something like bring to the attention of the board that is not on the agenda, this would be the time to do that. As a rule, we do not, as a general rule, we do not act on it at this meeting, but we bring it forward in a following meeting if that's necessary. So is there anyone with any public comment? Okay. So we will move into, I move we open the meeting.
Second.
Okay, and let's first approve the minutes from our last meeting. I think there was a revision. I think we all have a copy of
You
a
do.
revised.
Yes.
What?
All those in favor.
Oh, yeah, all those in favor vote aye.
Yes.
Everybody said aye? Yes, 5 yeses. I know, I keep forgetting. Okay. I move we approve the minutes of the October 15, 2024 meeting.
Second.
Any discussion on the minutes? They have been corrected. I think we saw that earlier.
Then thank you.
Okay. There's no discussion. All in favor, Dan?
Yes.
Barbara?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Melanie? Yes. And I'll vote yes, so that's 5 yeses. Okay. If there's no objection, I'd like to move the order of business. We have with us tonight Dwight Dowdy, who's from the Maine DOT. And out of respect for his time, if there are no objections from the board, I'd like to go ahead and put him on next. Any objections? No? Okay, Dwight, you're on. Thank you for coming, by the way.
Yeah.
Information to know what is here for.
I thought that you all were, he was gonna give an update and you all were going to ask questions. I know you had a question about invoices.
So. So just 1 second, so.
Yeah.
Laura, right where your right hand is, where your index finger was circling around, there's a button that looks like it could.
You see, it's not blue. It
Right,
should be blue.
and you
This
push it.
one.
Then there's one at say 12 o'clock from you, so
over
right
here.
there, yeah. Just back a little bit to your right. Keep coming back to.
Keep
your
back to your right.
right. Right there. I don't know. But my first take would be to unplug the room.
I was just gonna say, if we unplug it and go in the end of the cord, then put it back.
Yeah. I know.
That always is.
It does,
It's amazing how it reads.
It's a hard reset.
Yeah.
No, I think it works better when you lick the cord first.
Oh, stop.
As long as you blow it, it's gonna blow it, not last any dust, get it out.
Okay, it's off.
It should be
He's thinking,
blue.
blinking his eyes.
Is it? Mhm.
It is.
Oh, I see that.
Sorry for the interruption. We're getting here. Can't,
No,
I
yeah.
don't know.
Not yet.
I don't see any lights on this side.
So the diamond shape up there is probably the owl, and that's.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not moving with our voices.
Right.
Yeah, it's finishing booting up.
You just go.
Yes, they just booted, yes, they just booted at you.
What?
And on the screen, I don't see a red,
Halloween.
I know, kind of appropriate. On the screen, I don't see a red line through the audio button. You
No,
know, so maybe that's a good thing. I'm not sure what's going on. We can ask maybe Mr. Bourne if he can hear us.
yeah. I can't believe it hooted.
That was pretty cool.
Mr. Bourne, can you hear us?
He's muted.
Ask him to unmute.
He's-
And
AI companion is on. We don't want that, right?
we can,
Turn off. Turn off.
one other thing.
That's my skill set.
It's not blue yet.
It's not doing anything.
Is there a power button?
There is.
No?
Oh, are you trying it? Okay.
Recording in progress.
Does it?
Echo.
But see how it's only focused on me? It's not, when Carol was speaking,
I
it did
think
not go to her.
I think that's your camera on your laptop. It's focused on it.
There's a view up here. Speaker.
Go to gather.
Gallery gets everybody.
But if you're talking, if you speak, it should go to you.
That, if it's on speaker. If you put it on, if you go back up and change it to speaker. Then it should. It should be.
That's not on the
Yeah,
camera.
so
The camera that's on right now is the one that's on our computer. Let's look at her.
Yeah,
Yeah. Technical difficulties.
Yes.
okay.
I asked Lenny to give him his. Zoom
Any
just so
idea?
we can see if
Anybody?
he can hear us.
Right. Right.
Do the cords unplug from the owl? Maybe unplug the cord from the owl. It has that ability.
Your voice is still being recorded.
Well, it's probably picking up from the
Yeah, it's picking up, it's just,
Well, it might be being picked up over here, so.
These seem to be plugged in here.
Yeah. I don't think that's.
now see if the eyes are lighting up.
This was loose over here.
I think it's just.
Okay, this is good. This is good.
We're good now?
It's
It's moving around.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we figured that whole owl. It does look like that. Okay.
Okay, Dwight, are you ready to attack the meeting owl?
Excitement.
Just wanted to bring everybody up to date where we are. We're about 60% through the design on the water distribution system. Some of the challenges we're looking at right now are sizing of the pipe. And by way of background, so we have a water supply well out behind our maintenance camp. And that's going to be the source. We're gonna run the water line down Cemetery Road, down 11, and then back up 27, and we'll extend up to Christie's Street. So all those properties that are currently affected will have an opportunity to tie into that system. One of the challenges we're looking at right now is it is a relatively small system, and it will not be chlorinated. And so some of the challenges are you don't want water to be stagnant in the lines. And so there are you can calculate certain peaks during the day, usually in the morning and in the evening. So the challenge is not in sizing the pipe the right amount, so you don't have stagnant water, which could then breed bacteria.
Can I ask a quick question? I thought main rural water, because of the size of the system, said that the PUC would require us to have it treated. We'd have to have chlorinated water. And I know when we went out to Reed Field, they didn't have chlorinated water because it was prior to that obligation, but they still were set up for it in case it came down the pike.
This will be set up unless we'll be pre-planning that, it'll be designed to easy add-on to the treatment system. I think if you check with main rural water, a public water system has to be at least 25 connections. This year is only going to have 13 to start with.
Okay.
And so there is going to be a treatment system associated with this as well. We have a little bit of arsenic, which is fairly common around these parts. So we have some arsenic treatment, an RO system. But getting back to the pipeline, so one of the challenges be a ductile steel pipe. We're looking at, should it be a 6-inch diameter, which is standard, or should we go a little bit smaller for a 4-inch? Our goal is to have something probably by 85–90% designed by mid to late November. We'll be looking to get that bid package ready to send out, and hopefully if we put it out for bidding in the December, January, February timeframe, usually contractors are a little more aggressive at that time. So we hope for a good bid. So that's the triangle. We also have some issues over in Pinkham's Cove. There are 2 properties over there that we're working with the town on to resolve. Both of them are relatively small lots and would be very challenging trying to find replacement wells. They both have bedrock wells established. They have high salt, and both of them have arsenic as well. Our initial thought was to put treatment systems in to address it, an RO, whole house RO. But the properties are essentially almost built out to capacity. They're non-conforming structures. And so to build larger would prove very challenging. We do have a little bit of room at one of the properties, and so we're looking at a small little bump out to house the treatment system. These treatment systems need an area about 6 foot by 8. And so we think we've got conceptually ideas where to build on both properties to house the treatment systems. And so we've actually met with a builder and a plumber and a treatment system company. And they are working on developing some bids for us. And once we have that, we can certainly share with you before moving forward.
With the Pinkham's Cove, I know 15–20 years ago when we started having problems, that's where we started having problems.
2011, right?
I know there's also some natural salt down there. How many properties do we anticipate that are going to be affected by road salt versus this natural salt that was down in that area? Because I remember hearing at one point when we were during the select board that there was an area that had a bunch of natural salt down there too.
It's that trapped ocean.
Right,
We
so
found, we haven't found it in Pinkham's Cove. We did find it on, and pardon my geography around here, is it Mezzalonsky Lake? Over here.
that's over here.
Yeah. So interesting, we found a property, a gentleman reached out to us through the town office. His salt levels, just to put things in perspective, 250 is the threshold for drinking water issues. His analytical results were over 3,000 for chloride. So, and his well was 75 feet from the lake. And miles away from any road. So we did collect a sample, and what you're looking for is a chemical relationship of bromide to chloride, and it's got to be a 300-to-1 ratio, 300 chloride to 1 bromide. And it was almost smack on down there. So trying to explain to a retired engineer the concept of trapped seawater from 12,000 years ago was challenging. But that's what,
Okay, well, for some reason I thought that we also had that problem over that way too. So,
we have not seen coal mine there.
okay.
But what we do see is about a 60 to 80 foot thick sequence of sands and silt and gravel, so it is really conducive to a gravel or superficial well. We were hopeful that we get one property, we would try to go shallow to stay above the salt. And hopefully find something that with low arsenic, and we were unsuccessful on that front. And so by default, we're looking back at the treatment systems now. And I will caution you, there's a lot of properties down there.
Right.
That was my question. Are we likely to see more problems down there?
We addressed, I believe, 4 properties back in the 2011 to 2015 time frame. So these 2 sort of just came up in the last year. But I would suspect any time of a real estate transaction, there's usually a water test.
So that means at this point there are 6, the first 4 plus these 2,
Yeah.
or a total of 6.
With potentially more to come.
Yeah. That might,
But shouldn't these levels be going down since we stopped salt? Storing
Well, we
salt?
have-
Well-
The problem is that triangle is salt priority. There's no sand that goes down. I've been behind the trucks and it is straight salt. So I can't see the investment that we do in this, that it's going to get better when we're not changing the practice. We have the sand and salt in a building, but then we're putting straight salt on those roads that, 8 and 11 borders the lake. So how are we gonna, how do we handle that?
Melanie, I'm a hydrogeologist. I work in the environmental office. I try to solve problems associated with groundwater issues.
Yeah, this issue is not a groundwater issue, it's another issue that's impacting.
Right.
There are a lot of societal concerns that everybody addressed.
So I had a question related to this, but going back to the build out, for the reverse osmosis of the 2 properties down there. Would those be considered whole house treatment options for this?
Yep.
And would there be, just to ask, would there be a consideration to have an option for single point rather than whole house, or is that not an option?
One of the things to consider is corrosion. So the internal corrosion of the appliances, plumbing system, and heating systems are associated with salt.
Gotcha.
And so we put a whole house RO to remove that potential. So we already know, in both properties, we see fixtures, and both are having some challenges with propane heating systems, which are caused by the water quality.
And for the arsenic aspect too, this would, because we have a point system.
Yeah.
That point
One of your,
treatment.
Yeah.
For just arsenic at our place.
so the reverse osmosis will specifically target both the chlorides as well as the arsenic. Yeah.
Of that, whatever one it is, it's like, there are a couple of specific ones that could be,
It's arsenic 3 and arsenic 5. Yeah.
right? Okay, thank you.
wait, what's the longevity of those systems? Do they have a 20-year life or?
Yeah, the key, like for anything, is maintenance. And
I'm
so
sorry?
The key for anything is maintenance, annual maintenance. And so what we do offer is a 15-year settlement arrangement. And so these systems, when you install them, may bump up the electrical use by anywhere from $75 to $100 a month. And so we try to compensate those folks for that increased cost. And there's also annual maintenance that we provide a sum for. We base it, the 15-year lump sum settlement is based off a 15-year agreement that Maine DEP started, so we're just paying back on that time frame.
And if someone says, I'm not gonna settle for a 15-year settlement, what do we do?
That's when our legal group handles it, and it goes
Oh.
through state claims. And so,
Okay.
as we found with others, you guys don't have the option, if someone brings a well claim against the municipality, they have to go through Superior Court. State statute requires the Turnpike and Maine DOT to resolve issues, and if the well claim applicant is not satisfied, they have the county commissioners to go through.
Okay.
State claims board.
Okay,
Melanie.
Melanie?
So Dwight, if we put the reverse osmosis systems in, what we found here at the town office when we installed the reverse osmosis, that it actually increased the salt levels because you have to add salt and then it is put back out on the property. So how will long-term those independent systems actually assist that if it's a small piece of property and we're adding salt to it and then putting that back directly into the ground?
It'd be a mass balance. So the salt you're removing, you're putting it back in, basically what you're taking, it's gonna go back into the ground anyway. So, you're not taking anything out. You may be adding a little bit more salt if you have to put in a water softener. But, it'd be somewhat insignificant overall.
Because I thought here our levels went up significantly once the reverse osmosis system was put in.
Well, what we found here was, once the infiltration gallery was put in out behind these properties over here, one of the wells that we had found, a clean well, was impacted by the salt that was coming through the infiltration gallery. And so again, it was a mass balance. It wasn't an increase in the overall salt level. You were just concentrating in a very specific point source.
So then do we also run the risk of putting those systems in and then we impact additional properties by adding that salt that's not already in their well?
These systems are designed for residential purposes. The backwash is usually on every 2 week process or a cycle. And we're using the septic system. So it's backwashing 140 to 160 gallons every 2 weeks. So an insignificant amount over several hours. So yeah, are we seeing an increase in salt? No, I'll get back to that mass balance. We're just moving it back out behind the properties. Ultimately, it's going to get into the lake. That's where it's going. And so we're delaying it a little bit, but it will continue to make it into the lake.
Do you have, when we talked, any idea of cost? I know we originally said if it goes over 3 million, then we need to go back to the drawing board. And that was what, 2 years ago?
I think the last estimate was 3.5 million. So I anticipated probably going up a little bit as well.
And sure.
Yeah, and so I think at that point in time, the 3 million threshold was some saber rattling on some folks further up the food chain at DOT saying, is this too much? Are there other options to consider at that level? And so I think once in another 6 to 8 weeks, we'll have a good estimate to work from, an engineer's estimate.
Yeah.
I will caution you, what we're finding is engineers' estimates are usually running about 20 to 30% off. So.
I mean, I guess my concern is we have that number, and then there's the number we're going to have, which is maintaining that system at $20,000 or $30,000 for the next 20, 30, 40 years. So I just think we need to look really careful at when we get to that point.
I think we did, 5 years ago when we began this dialogue, there was some discussion about acquisition of some properties.
Yeah.
So it may, we may want to circle back around and revisit that as well. Because if you recall, some of the challenges here, we have properties that are single and double wides, which
Right.
prove very challenging for treatment systems.
Right. Yeah, it'll take some thinking out of the box to make that work. Anyone have any other questions for Dwight? Melanie, you had a concern over invoices?
I did, because we had talked previously about when you get invoiced on something when work is done, then we get an invoice in a timely manner. And I realized on our last warrant or the warrant before that we were just getting a bill. that the work had been completed more than a year prior. So I'm wondering how we can tighten that up.
We can send it more often.
Well, I think that, you know,
I think we would-
I think a year is,
It's kind of messing up my yearly budget.
Yeah,
The volume, it was only, what, $22,000, is that what?
right.
I mean, it's not. We can send it more frequently.
Dwight, on these home systems that you're looking at in Pickham's Cove, I mean, is that a $30,000 fix or an $80,000 fix or any, let's give us some idea of the range of,
Treatment systems are pretty easy to price out, so they're gonna be in the $30,000 to $50,000 range.
and then we split that, correct? Is that
And
bigger?
that's
Okay,
installed, and then we see the settlement is usually in the, you know, the $20,000 to $30,000 range, so, you know, the numbers show 40 to 75,000 per location. The challenge is that these two properties are additional construction to house the system.
yeah,
And then we do know that some of the appliances are already suffering some issues.
right,
I think as I told you, you know, one of our first questions when someone says they have salt and water is your ice maker still working?
yeah.
Because that's the first thing to go.
Mhm.
Water heaters.
Water heater. Water heater will go quick, but they're very small lines into the ice maker.
Yeah. Okay,
Because there's probably no way to get a water line down from this water system down there, even through some kind of a right of way through the woods.
It's over hill and dale, there's a lot of wet
Oh,
area.
I know, but I'm just wondering if in the long run, it would be easier to get water down there.
I think Pickham's Cove could prove to be as my mother would say, unique and interesting.
okay.
So would we possibly need to have a separate system for Pickham's Cove or something?
I hope not. I hope these are just the end of it. Just a casual observation when we drive down through there's a lot of properties have shallow gut wells, which is good from our salt standpoint. However, there are a lot of other cultural features that I would be concerned with down there for those shallow wells. They're all very close to one another and effluent's got to go somewhere.
Yeah,
So, you know, as you see properties like that perhaps acquired, someone may decide to try to put in a drilled well. And I think that's when you'll start finding some challenges.
So there would probably be an opportunity for perhaps the code enforcement officer to have a conversation, right? Should there be a transaction that occurs and someone comes in for something, they speak to the LPI, want to say, hey, we want to do this thing, just be aware, you know, of some opportunities like this and the caution that goes with it.
Well, because one of the things that we had said was once the system is in place, if people purchase property or intend to do anything on those, that we're not on the hook for those after the fact. We're on the hook for the ones who have potable water now that has been included by past actions. Correct. I think that's where we're at with it, because we discussed like. At a certain point, no more people, so development after this fact could not then tie into the system as their source of water.
I think the way the arrangement is, that would be a town of Belgrade decision.
Yeah.
You know, the system can be expanded. If need be through the use of storage tanks. And if you start putting in some of those storage tanks, then you've got a quality issue to contend with. Or a UV system, right?
yeah.
So more to come in 6-8 weeks.
Yeah,
Sounds like.
I'm glad I could bring such good news.
So exciting.
Yeah.
What happens with liability, like down in Pickham's Cove? Somebody has a shallow well right now. It's good water. But somebody buys the property and says, well, I'm gonna drill a well. And the drilled well comes back with salt. Are we then responsible for that one? Even though they had clean water, they just decided to change something?
Dan, I'll say again, I'm a hydrogeologist.
Okay, I just,
But,
well, I figured you guys would run into stuff like this.
we do, and it's our understanding that, at least from DOT, the interpretation from our legal office is that we are responsible.
Okay, so even if they had clean water,
They have a right to that water anywhere on their property.
Right.
If we've impacted it, then we're liable.
So I guess what I still don't understand how we're not gonna continue impacting it when we're putting straight salt on the road. So if someone can please explain to me how it's responsible to do a $3 million plus investment, but continue polluting. How, we're never gonna get ahead of it. And granted, the volume that's going on now is not the volume that was stored, but if we're continually putting it on the road. So.
The issues we're dealing with are historical in nature. They're from housekeeping and past management practices at both the town and the state locations. Your concern about road application is a valid one. If it was widespread, we would see chloride impacts on every stretch of road throughout the state of Maine. So we don't see that. What
But,
we'll see
yeah.
is slight elevations here with continued use. But if the systems are, the well will not be impacted, nor will any of these wells around here, because they're all gonna be on public water supply.
Right, but I'm envisioning that this continues to bleed out. So we're already seeing this bloom is now down on the depot. What's changed over the last 15 years is it used to be a sand and salt application. And now we've gone to straight salt, which is the culprit for these wells. So we've gone to that straight salt in that whole area, and now we're moving down here, and I get that the geology of Belgrade is tricky, because we have the ledge and we have the aquifer that runs in that direction. But I guess I need somebody to tell me that if we do this investment, and the anticipation was that we were going to resolve the situation for past imperfections. But if we continue the imperfections moving forward, I don't see an end to this.
I'm not that person to tell you that.
Because those roads are they're not state roads, right? They're
They are.
not basin roads. Oh, so the application change would have to be a decision for the state that does that.
basically what he's saying is, you're asking the wrong division of the
Yeah.
DOT right now.
Right, so,
That's what he's saying, you need to get the guys that make the decision on the road in here
Right,
and start growing them.
right,
right. So what they said before was because it's a through road that they need to have salt. For the safety of the vehicles and drivers.
Yeah, they don't,
Yeah.
because you don't have straight salt on every other road, so.
Never used to have salt, used to have dirt.
Well, Dwight, you had mentioned when you're talking with Lorna and I that, if you have an area that. If I think this is what you're saying, if you're driving along and you're using salt, and then all of a sudden you stop it for. A mile or a half a mile, and then you start again, that change in road condition is a hazard to drivers isn't that what you were saying?
There's a traveler, expectancy, they anticipate certain.
Okay,
conditions.
okay.
27 is, so what Maine DOT does is his priorities 1 through 4 roads. 1 being the turnpike on highway. I believe 27 is a priority 2 road. You know, it's a major transportation corridor, east-west. Same with Route 202. So those, they're treated aggressively, not as aggressively as I-295 or I-95.
Right.
And then you see, I think 8 and 11 is probably a priority 3 road, and the priority 4 is a very, very low average daily use rate.
So there was a concern that if you stop a small piece of it, that the driver would have conditions they're not anticipating.
Yep, and I also know, I hear this frequently. Someone says, well, geez, I drive by the Quoven River Reservoir or something in Mass, and they have signs that will say, low sodium chloride areas. And yeah, it's true, they don't use sodium chloride, they use a magnesium chloride. So it's a different salt, so.
Yeah.
And chloride is the contaminant of concern from the well field.
Okay. Anyone else have, oh,
Well,
go ahead.
but just to kind of take this another step, what you're saying is, we already have the salt, we're stuck with these treatment systems, with the water system. And so, the salt going into, the salt would make a difference in terms of the lakes, but it's not going to make a difference in the drinking water situation. We're going to have to continue to provide drinking water, treat drinking water for the foreseeable into the future.
Chlorides are stubborn, they don't biodegrade. They travel with water. I mean, so the soils become saturated and then they'll slowly release over years. And so, yes, there's, if you were able to eliminate a source, there's a potential for a cleanup, depending on how much flushing you get. But I've been with DOT for too long, over 20 years. And unfortunately, we've seen some sites similar to this that are still contributing some salt impact that we're no longer operating. So it's a legacy issue.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I mean, to Melanie's credit, I'll get on my soapbox, I've been dealing with this for way too long. And it's not unique to this area, it's statewide. And I mentioned earlier, it's a societal issue. We're our own worst enemy. People expect black pavement shortly after a snowstorm so they can drive to Walmart. All right, I'll get off my soapbox.
Yeah. But you're not wrong.
Yeah.
Okay.
I grew up in Maine, and I was on a secondary road. And
And we all have rear wheel drive vehicles.
exactly, and we did novel things like,
Drive slower.
it was snowpack after the first snowstorm, it'd be snowpack for the rest of the winter.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
remember my dad doing novel things like, well, let's leave 15 minutes early. What?
Give a bag of
And-
sand or.
And we're, even with rear wheel drive vehicles, everybody, vast majority of people have snow tires. So,
Wait,
all season radios don't work up here.
Right,
You took the time to put on chains back then.
Yeah.
yeah.
yeah. Okay, anything else for Dwight? Anyone have anything?
Thank you, very interesting.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
thank you for your time.
If you do have any questions, feel free, Lauren knows how to get a hold of me real quick, so.
Right.
And if anything comes up, give me a holler,
We'll be anxiously awaiting our next conversation with you.
I'm sure.
He's not gonna say the same.
He's not gonna say the same thing.
Look forward to seeing you again.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dwight.
Have a great night.
Okay.
So the thing to do is something food training.
Right.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't hear what you said now.
I said, and I think we do need to take this up the food chain with DOT, because they can't tell us that they're not gonna make that a certain priority. But I think it's ineffective for us to continue moving forward in that direction when we're not gonna be responsible for continual impact. And yet we're gonna be on the hook for paying 50%. So I think we need to have someone from DOT come in who can help us make that decision. But I've been saying literally from the very first discussion we had with DOT on this, that until they make that triangle not top priority. It is essentially, we're putting a Band-Aid on something and we're on the hook for something that we're not continuing to do. We built the sand and salt shed, we put it all undercut. We've done everything that we've been asked to do. We cleaned up the housekeeping around that. I mean, last year, this year before, all the salt that was leaked out of that property didn't come from the town, it came from DOT.
Right.
So they cannot continue to impact us in that way, and yet we're on the hook for paying for it. So I guess we find out who we need to talk to, but I want to fight that fight. Because 25 years down the road, and we've been doing everything we're supposed to do, we're still gonna be paying out the wazoo for something that we have no control over. And I think the last time we had a conversation with them, they said, do you want the roads? And we said, no, maybe we do. Maybe we take the triangle back. But we've gotta come up with something because it isn't gonna get better.
Okay, let's put this on our hot list to see maybe who we would try to find out who we might have a conversation with.
it's, I want to say it's David Allen. That's something.
Or there'd be some-
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, could be.
That's all right.
David Allen, he's been here before too.
Yeah.
Citizen
Yeah, I know,
petition.
David Allen's
We need
the
to
one.
make this up to the
Anyway.
Citizens, and then they get to decide,
Maybe,
how do we wanna move this forward? What do we wanna do?
yes, maybe we can do this. I think,
Or how do we get we're not gonna be responsible any longer, maybe it's a pill question. At what point can we say, we're not gonna continue if you're going to continue?
Well,
Although that
because the
doesn't mean
difference is in 2011, we had a small handful of impacted wells. What changed between 2011 and 2024 was the change to salt priority. That was the biggest change in that area. We didn't do it. And so when they came back 10 years after the first one, or 9 years, and said, hey, you're on the hook, because 2011, you said you cover half of these wells. We're gonna make you adhere to that agreement for the foreseeable future. But that changed, and to Dwight's credit, he does not throw them under the bus.
right,
But that is the biggest change, is that they changed what was going on those roads. So, and we said, are we still responsible? And the attorney said, yes. Well, then the practice has to change. So we gotta figure out
People
how to
can't
do
get
it.
to Walmart after a snow, during a snowstorm.
During a snowstorm.
so, yeah, if there's a way we could, find out, Mr. Allen, or
Yeah, I'll
whomever.
reach out to him first.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
see who, and I'll get somebody in.
Yeah, awesome,
Okay,
let's ask that question, we need to ask.
And
that.
I've asked it again, we
Yeah.
asked it 5 years ago. We've asked it, yes, so that it's a poke, we should keep this. They're not gonna fix it if we don't keep open.
Truth time.
okay, next, out of respect for. Out of respect for our committee appointments, if there are no objections, I would like to move ahead the Kathy Lavasser's appointment to Senior Resources Committee. Any objections from anyone?
Nope.
Okay. So, if you go to that section in your book, we have an application from Kathy Lavasser to join the Senior Resource Committee. So I move that we approve this appointment.
Second,
Would you like to tell us why you'd like to help us on this committee?
Certainly. Well, you know, I've been in this town since 1973. And I think it's high time that I did something back to the community. So a few years ago, when I retired, I got together with Doris Mathias, and she was running the 1 mile walk
Right.
for seniors. So I kind of decided, well, I'm gonna join that as a retiree. And so I've been heading that 1 mile wake up walk every Monday at 9. And it can be anyone of any age, male, female, that can join us. And I just think it's a real important addition to the goals of including our seniors and including our community, and I want to keep it going. Doris stepped away. She's a snowbird, so while she's gone, I took over. And now I guess I'm running it and I enjoy it, and I want to be on the committee and be able to do more things and maybe recruit somebody.
A person or two.
Recruit a helper bee,
Yeah,
right?
so I just think it's a really good cause, and I think you're on the right track
Yeah.
to incorporate the
Okay.
community.
Well,
I think that's voluntold.
yeah.
What's that?
I think that's voluntold.
Possibly.
Well, you did say that you haven't done much for the community, and we know that that needs to be corrected. You certainly do a lot for the community, which was reflected in your Spirit of America Award, so
Thank you.
we are aware of how much you do help out.
Thank you.
Both of
Okay,
them.
yeah.
Good.
Anyone have any other questions for Kathy?
No, I'm
Okay.
psyched.
All in favor of Kathy joining the committee? Dan?
Yes.
Barbara?
Yes.
Peter?
Absolutely, yes.
Melanie?
Yes.
I say yes, and thank you very much for stepping
you.
forward and being the leader of the pack on Monday mornings. Okay,
See Mary for your.
Just stop in and see Mary then.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Right,
yeah.
and right, not tomorrow.
not
Not
tomorrow.
Not tomorrow.
Right, it's
She'll
Wednesday.
be home.
Okay, no problem.
Okay,
Thank you. I'm
okay.
curious, where did you work for the state?
Oh, I worked for, Department of Health and Human Services, Maine Care.
Great,
Yeah.
thank you. Thank you for your service. there.
Sure.
Okay, so now let's go back to unfinished business. So,
That, can we finish up that one section?
Jamie,
Resignation.
yeah, Jamie's,
He pulled it, he pulled it.
he pulled his resignation due
Oh.
to the change in,
Really?
yes,
He's
due
gonna stay
to
on.
Dan leaving, he's willing to stay on and help with transition,
Thank you.
which is wonderful.
Okay.
So Jamie, if you're watching or check us later, thank you very much. We appreciate his dedication. to that. Okay, so let's go back. Good night.
I'm gonna go start filling buckets with sand.
No salt, just sand.
Just see it.
Folks, have a good night.
Okay, so let's go back under unfinished business to the Boston Post cane policy review. We've gone over this 2 or 3 times, and I think we have a final product. Is that where we're at, Lorna?
Yes, I made the updates from your last meeting, had Mary take a look at, it. She agreed it looked great. She's actually posted the nomination form, beginning to search for the next holder. So. Yeah, I think we're good.
So, I would move that we adopt the Boston Post cane policy as presented to us.
Second.
So moved and seconded. Any discussion?
I've got one question on the line here. Recipient will retain his honor in replica cane. What is his honor?
What line are you
This-
on?
The owner of being the Boston Post cane.
Will retain this honor, the honor of.
Okay, it's just kind of a weird way of, I did that. Oh,
Okay,
No, but we're not taking the replica canes back.
No,
no,
Yeah.
they get to. keep
but
them.
retaining the honor, this honor, I mean,
I think
why would you take it back anyway?
well, you couldn't take the honor back, but you can take the cane back. Like, I think that's how they were, before we were saying they had to give the cane back.
But that's fine.
Okay. Anything else from anyone? Are we ready to vote?
It was nice.
Wait, but are we saying that, that the,
What?
are we saying that the recipient will retain the cane as long as the individual lives? So does the family get, didn't we say last time the cane?
No, it retains the cane.
Retains the-
replica.
Period.
He will retain this honor and replica cane as long as he lives, even though another resident may become eligible. The clerk's office must.
Okay, got it.
So you could have
Yeah,
someone
yeah,
who
yeah.
only lived here 24 years that's older. They hit 25, so they really should be the oldest one, but they're not gonna take it away,
Right,
is how I read that one.
But they keep the replica cane permanently.
Right,
They
yeah.
don't ever have to turn that in.
Correct.
Right.
So
Never.
should we just clarify that in there so that?
yeah, that's not
10
clear.
years down the road, like maybe after, even though another resident may become eligible. And then maybe we add in there that the replica cane. will not be returned to the town of Alchemy.
Or the family may retain the cane or something like
Yeah.
that.
That's clear.
The
That's
recipient
crystal
will
clear.
retain this honor as long as they. Even if someone else becomes eligible.
The family of the honoree may
It's
retain.
like you're combining two different things into
Yeah.
that one,
Right, yeah,
and it's,
How about
The
will
recipients-
retain this owner. As
What if you
long as
say
the
the-
individual lives, even though another resident may become eligible, period. And then
the recipient's family will retain the cane.
how about the replicant cane,
The replica
remain
cane,
with the family?
the replicant
May
will remain
remain with the
may
family.
remain with the recipient's family upon their passing.
Upon the recipient's passing.
Right.
Yes.
So when I point down.
We're making this too complicated.
Really not, because, we have to make sure that it's clear so that down the road, people understand what it is we were attempting to accomplish. And what we're attempting to accomplish is that you don't get the cane.
right, you get the replica cane, it's a permanent award that you don't have to return.
That stays in the family.
Yeah, so just say the recipient will retain this honor as long as the individual lives.
Column, even though another recipient may become eligible.
Another resident maybe.
Right.
Yeah.
And so you're not saying anything about the cane
No,
because.
but then we
the
need
cane-
another,
We'll do
then
another
we need
line
another
saying the cane
Oh,
sentence.
you do want to say,
We'll do another line saying that the cane is a permanent.
Well, how about if we say on that next one, that the Boston Post, that a replica cane
Will remain with the recipient's family upon their passing. Would that work?
Barbara had wording. 'Cause remember you said may.
Yeah,
Rewind the tape. As long as the there's another resident.
I can't hear you, Melanie. Are you,
Are
you talking to yourself?
To myself.
Oh.
Okay, so then, the recipient will retain the honor as long as they lives in another resident. Or how about even above that, the recipient will be presented with a replica of the Boston Post cane. And that cane.
which
shall
the family may retain.
Right,
Something like that.
that cane shall remain with the family after the recipient's passing.
Okay, but if you look in the first paragraph under presentation. It doesn't say for how long. It says
This is a.
the chair of the select board will present him her with a replica cane.
Okay, can we agree on the wording so we can vote on it, and then we just have to get it retyped and signed? Or do we need to bring this back again?
I hope not.
I'd like to see us agree so we can move it.
We might be close with this sentence that Melanie had. Between Melanie and Barbara, I think we're in for something good.
Maybe it goes in that first paragraph. At the end, the president of the organization of the flag to display the one in the original Boston was going to tell Belgrade Municipal. And we say, and maybe in there we put the replica cane shall remain in the family upon the most Boston Post cane recipient's passing.
Or may remain, but
May
not
remain.
everybody necessarily.
Some
want it.
people may say we don't want it, so
Yeah.
the replica cane may remain with the recipient's family, period.
Period.
where do you want to put that?
Do you think right after Belgrade Municipal office?
Yes, up in the first paragraph,
Yeah.
Melanie will give us the wording.
Okay, replica cane may remain with the family upon
May remain with the family, period.
period. Yeah.
May remain with the family, period, because it's understood that
Right,
It's the recipient.
with the recipient's family.
Yes,
with the recipient's family.
yes,
Lovely.
okay.
Where will that sentence be inserted?
It's gonna go with the first paragraph.
Yeah.
Right after.
The first long sentence.
2, 3, 4, 5. The end of that sentence.
Before there shall also be,
Yes, yes. Because there's not going to be any personalized information on Kane. So if they didn't want to keep it, they could give it back and it could be given to somebody else.
correct?
Right, we could reuse it
Yeah.
if they chose to give it back.
Yeah,
Their name is not on the case.
right, their name is not on the Kane, there's no identifying.
Correct.
Okay,
Okay,
okay. I move that we, oh wait, did you already make a
We
motion?
have a
we
motion,
have a
motion.
motion on the
we have a
floor.
motion on the floor.
And
And
second, and I
seconded.
seconded, okay.
Oh, so we have to.
So we have to amend the motion.
We have to amend. Okay, so I move we accept the amendment. Retain it with the cane retaining with the recipient's family.
I'll second that amendment.
Okay, all in favor of the amendment? Dan,
Yes,
Barbara,
Yes,
Peter,
Yes.
Melanie, I'll vote yes. Now we come back to the original. Accepting of the plan because it's now amended.
I'll make that motion.
Everyone ready to vote? All in favor, Dan? Oh,
wait, Melanie made the motion to accept it as amended, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes,
oh, okay,
I'll second that.
a second, okay,
Okay, I'll second that if nobody did.
all right. All in favor, Dan, Barbara?
Yes,
Peter?
Yes.
Melanie?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes, so 5 yeses.
So I'll get the corrections done and then I'll have this ready. It'll be on the counter. I'll
On the
send a
counter so we
note
can
out
come in
and
and
let
sign.
you know when it's ready to sign.
Okay.
not tomorrow.
Yay, no, not tomorrow.
Has Mary been getting any names in?
We just posted it.
Okay. I mean, I know she,
Yesterday, not today.
yeah, okay. Okay. The next item for business is the employee service recognition policy. So, this is
This is not huge. It
basically
was like
what,
250 or 500 bucks every so many years. And then
what,
I said, this is, it's got huge. The original was.
So the
Well-
policy just has the updates and then you have two sets of figures. So one shows if you chose to recognize every year. And then the other set really shows the significant, like every 5 years in a sense,
Right.
which is much less
Right,
expensive.
right,
So there's
Yeah.
like two different options.
right. And so the two different, and so the two different options are, one is for regular stuff and the other are for the firefighters. That's it. 'Cause
Well,
we-
no, they're all together, but you have two sheets just because we couldn't fit them all on.
so this page, the one that has dashes. Is we would recognize everyone on their 5th anniversary. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 years, they're eligible for award. So this shows that the first year. It's 11,000. First year, it's 2,200 for
Right.
the staff and the fire department, it would be 11,000. And then the second year, 2025, we only have. Of our staff, full-time, or we have just one person who would get an award in 2025 that's turning a year, like a 5th year.
Yeah.
And then on the second page would show that the fire department would have, I don't know. 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 or 10, so they would have a $3,000 commitment. So it's just showing that it's not gonna cost very much to maintain it if you don't give it out every year.
Right.
The first one shows what it would be if you gave it every year, which is too rich in my blood, but
No. No, I think just on the anniversary,
on
That's
the
what we
every 5th
intended.
year, right,
but after 1 year too, there's $50 after the 1 year.
right.
Because we have people down here for,
Well, it's like the
For 1
first
year.
year, everyone's gonna get something, and then after that, you go to
5.
5, 10, 15, 20, 25.
So I like that idea about utilizing the 5-year increment.
Yeah,
and reward on those times. It hasn't been done before, right, for all of those intervals, so this would be, in my opinion, a way to help recognize and value those personnel. So let's do that, in my opinion. The sing every year, it's too expensive.
the reason these are grouped the way they are is so you could look at by department
Right,
to see if the departments, how much it would cost each department. So.
Yeah.
You know, it's not anything major, and I think, Lorna, did you say there's room in the budget to do this?
Yes, the only one I questioned might be, public safety. I still think we could get away with it, if you implemented, this year.
Right.
I think I'm the one that has the town office staff, essentially have a transfer station. So Avery Whitney has been with us for a couple of months, but she's in the 50 million category.
Because this is 2024, everyone's getting at least $50.
She
Because
should
they've
be
been-
25, because she's less than 1 year. That
Well-
should be 25.
Well, if,
and Ian and Lisa are less than a year.
Those should be 25 number.
okay, if that's fine if you want to. Works for me.
Works for me. As long as we adhere to the policy, then
Right.
it's just a budgeting exercise after that.
Right, and it's not a lot of money, but it's a way to recognize people
Correct.
without trying to put together something that some people are gonna show up at and some people aren't.
Yep.
Okay, so anybody who's 0 would get 25 instead of 50. Right,
Anyone that's 0 would get 25, so you've got
Yeah,
1,
this,
2,
the sheet like this has it
3,
listed correctly.
4. So you'd have 4 people, we take $100 off, instead of 2,200 total would be 20.
okay, yeah, this one has it.
Right. So,
I'm good with that.
so is everyone good with this? Or ready to vote on it?
And people should be informed that this would be taxable income. Even though it wouldn't be, we wouldn't take the tax out, but
Right, it's taxable income,
it's
right,
taxable income to that for them, and they would have to deal with it as.
right,
Why would we do that?
It's still
We're giving them a
taxable.
25 or a $50 gift card to a local business. So why would we then turn around and tell them that they're gonna file a form like that? IRS to claim
I,
subcontractor, I need a 1099 for my $25.
So what are you gonna do, when you get up to the $500, you're gonna give a $500 gift card? to a
Gift
local
card.
business?
right,
Well, that's what I said, like,
Once you get up
I just
to,
want cash.
if you go cash,
You
you
know,
have,
of course,
if you do
yes,
cash, it has to be taxed.
We do cash, it's taxable.
It has to be. Just like a Christmas bonus, it's taxable.
right.
Right,
We give them a gift card, I don't know if gift cards are taxable or not.
they are, I mean, legally they are.
Well, then we should do what's legally right,
Anything from the employer.
so then
Technically.
whoever's getting 500 should know that they're going to have to pay taxes on that. They're getting $50, I don't think it's gonna make a big deal. Or we could not give them the money. Right, I mean,
I think we're just gonna make sure that we're covering it legally, but nobody is gonna wanna have to figure out what to do. Easy five, how do I put in my $25?
okay, so are we,
Right, that's.
Yeah, I say that real low, because it's not, this is what the new figure is.
Yeah.
I think we
That's-
go for it and inform the staff.
inform the staff, if they need to declare it, we'll tell them. Okay, so let's first vote on the policy and then we can maybe think about when we want to do this.
Okay.
Okay? So I move we accept the employee recognition. What do we call it? Service policy, employee service recognition policy. With awarding everyone in 2024 and subsequently awarding on every 5th anniversary of their employment.
Second,
But have we determined, are we going to do cash or, I mean, what is, I mean, I suppose $500 in Hammonds would go pretty well, but Corey gets $500 to the village inn. That's a bunch of meals.
Not the village.
Not the village inn. But he gets,
I'll take the grill.
yeah. People can decide, and very honestly, if someone says, I want $250 from Christie's and $250 from the Sunset Grill, fine.
Fine.
Start asking people what they want, and you're talking.
Well, we
But
said,
they get to select.
they get to select from a list, so. That'll be Lorna's headache, not ours.
Oh, yay.
Okay, any more discussion on policy? All in favor, Melanie,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Barbara,
Yes,
Dan,
Reluctantly, yes. I still don't. It's a good idea.
and I'll say yes, so it's 5 yeses.
Well, I just think it's a
One
good
reluctant.
silver, we were looking, you know,
One
we're
reluctant.
supposed to be doing 250 or 500, and somebody had been here, for a while, there's what it's not, and now we're like, come on, $12,000. I'm like, yeah, we were just trying to decide if it was 250 or 500.
Okay, now. When do we want to introduce this? Maybe December, because it'll be closer to the holidays, if someone wanted to use the gift card. Close to the holidays,
if we can cover it from all the budgets for this year, I think it would be good to start it
After elections.
after election.
after the election, yeah.
And maybe December 31st,
Huh?
maybe the last day of the year.
Or
Oh,
we
right,
usually
before
do,
Christmas.
Before Christmas.
we usually do something before Christmas, maybe we do it, whatever we do for a Christmas luncheon or cake or whatever. That we hand out the certificates then.
Holiday lunch.
Holiday luncheon. That happens to be before December 23rd.
Right.
Okay,
That's fine.
is that, Makes
It's
sense.
late in the year.
Lorna, can you make it so?
I will do my very best.
Isn't that the Star Trek thing? Make it
Yes.
so,
Yes, it is.
Mr. Sewell? Okay. Okay, that gets us down through 2. And now I've lost my agenda.
We should be on.
Okay, the next item is the Dalton properties. Lorna, Corey, who wants to take that one?
This was like pulling teeth, wasn't it? We could not get in writing estimates, but Corey has obviously spoken with many contractors. So we got together one afternoon and went through a list to see what we could put together for you to give you some idea of what it would cost to keep and fix or to demo. And I do not know the specific contractor you were able to speak with. I know you spoke with Bruce on the plumbing, heating.
I spoke with Bruce, I spoke with Dan.
Buildings.
Construction.
And we did have the mold removal. We actually did have the estimate for that. You all have seen that one.
Right,
So it looks like, and this is for the vacant building only.
Yeah, 8.
This
8
did,
Dalton, 10 Dalton.
this did not.
10's the garage.
Oh, 8 Dalton.
This did not include any fix for our rented leased property.
Okay. Oh, Dalton.
Right, so 200 bathroom 18,000 to gut out and fix the kitchen 35,000. Demo the inside 17,000. Wiring and electrical 25,000, plumbing, heating 19,000. The mold removal estimate came in at 46,000. New insulation 10,000, and then to fill and do a slab with the basement 30,000. And then if we were going to demo it 40 to 45,000. So estimates, speaking with contractors, 200,000 to keep and fix.
But that doesn't include the finished work, so
No,
it'll be
does not
another,
include the fish.
another,
Okay.
what, 50,000,
That's the basic stuff.
No, probably not,
25,000 for?
probably
finished work?
25 at least.
But do we have a separate thing if we decided that the historical society wanted it, we were just gonna gut it, they wouldn't need the kitchen, they wouldn't, you know,
They don't want.
We,
they decided they.
We're not gonna get those prices. I can tell you that right now. I can barely get somebody to get on the phone and tell me, this is what we're gonna do. Nobody wants to touch that bill.
Really, can you blame them?
No, I can't blame them, because of the money pit, so. I've called so many people and they either don't call me back. Or I get a vague answer and never get an answer at all. So,
yeah. My concern is I think we need to come to some idea of what we're going to do. This will have to go to the voters, because we gotta get a warrant article together, either. And we've gotta put it in the budget, either to demo it or not to demo it. But we're in budget season, and if we don't get it discussed and talked through, we're gonna be sitting another year. So,
Do we have the dehumidifier in there yet?
nope, I was told by Advance One that putting a dehumidifier in there at this point is a waste of our money, so. Didn't put one in there.
Advance One is the mold removal
Yeah,
company.
yeah, you would have to get a commercial dehumidifier and. You're never gonna get the moisture out of that building regardless with the amount of water that continues to wash into that building on a regular basis, every time it rains.
Just
So it's not gonna happen. You're gonna be spending $2,000 or $3,000 for a commercial dehumidifier. And the electricity to run it, and you're not gonna get anywhere, so
And if you
that's
rent,
what they do for a
and
living.
if you rent them, they're about $4,000 a month, because we just had to have all the ones done at my wife's office building when they had the mold problem.
yeah.
Yeah.
Cost them about $4,000, $4,000 or $5,000 a month to rent.
This does not.
So, the cost for the demo, 40 to 45,000 each building, is that, do you have any other updated?
Updated cost on that from Jason, 44,000 for both,
For both?
for both. So that would be the cheapest,
Yeah.
cheapest route. By
I know when we were looking at taking down the storage buildings, we put it out to bid. The dump guys gave us a quote of, I think 20 or 21. Most of it was removing the slab, because it sat on the slab. The building was picked up and gone.
Yeah.
So I think 2025 probably is, that sounds more reasonable.
I think it was 26 for 8. And
Because we'll have to fill in the basement.
Yeah.
Or do we? Do we dig out the basement? Remove the
just
concrete
remove
and
the
then fill it?
slabs, the concrete.
Yeah,
27.5 for Dalton 8. That's to remove and fill the foundation. And 16.5 for Dalton to remove it and remove the concrete slab. So,
For 10. So do we want to consider both buildings together? Do we want to think of 8 Dalton as one entity and 10 Dalton as another entity? And is there, with the Historical Society using it for storage and you using it for storage, is there any reason to consider holding on longer to 10 Dalton or no?
I don't think we should hold on to it. Because it's slowly getting mold in it. There's a leak that we have had fixed in the plumbing, so sheetrock has been wet. The floor is sagging, better now that some of the weight's been out of there, but the floor is still sagging. Outside stairs are not safe, so I've got to pay to get those fixed anyway. But then we turn around, I don't know how many years those rodents, the squirrels have lived in that attic, but I've seen them myself coming and going. So you know what gray squirrels do to insulation? And we're paying for the fuel and electricity in this building. We're spending our money.
What kind of shape's the slab that that one set on?
I don't think I've really looked at the
I was-
slab, but
I
I've
was-
never noticed,
I was just wondering if it would be worth keeping the slab.
and building a new building.
And put a small one-story garage type that the historical society can still have storage there, we
Yeah.
can still have storage. You know, just throw some trusses on a wall.
On the wall.
I think that would be part of a more long range, well, I mean, that.
Well, I just don't wanna rip out, I just don't wanna rip out the slab.
Slab if
Right,
it's used in the
right.
future,
I was gonna
yeah.
say, in terms of
Yeah.
what's the,
We're just talking about spending, you know, 15,
Yeah.
10, 12, $16,000 for a slab, so.
right, right.
Even if we were to take the building down and like you said, leave the slab's not gonna go.
No,
So,
no, as long as it's safe, there's nothing sticking up on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It might be something to think about, and then if you have to remove it down the road, you can remove the
I
slab.
will make a point of going over tomorrow.
I just like.
And taking a look,
Yeah, I gotta go over and work on
You
the.
know, so it's all broken up, then,
right, but if it's solid,
but if it's solid, it might be something.
Go ahead, Barbara.
How long do we consider it safe for the tenant to be living there? Are there safety issues that would,
We had quite a list of stuff from, is it MMA, Lorna?
yes, which
That
got
they weren't
sent
happy
over
about
to
that.
our gal Jean.
But
Who
didn't we
sent
have a
that
letter that our,
She sent a letter.
that
to our-
she sent a letter that he had to remedy?
Yeah,
that he had to remedy?
Yeah,
That was
but
the-
there was some,
that was the
there was
way-
some stuff on the list that we had to fix.
That we had to.
there was
fix
a
too.
lot that, like, just, there was, yeah,
Open it.
A lot of
To the attic and
Yeah,
something with the stairs.
But is it,
stairs are, the stairs stringers, what, they go up the stairs.
Yeah.
They're all stringers, they've all gotta come out. The stairs, the deck itself is sitting on concrete blocks.
Mhm.
So if one of those concrete blocks just deteriorate, the whole thing.
Yeah.
so how much notice do we need to give the tenant that this building is not gonna,
I'm not sure, but I can check with Jean.
We
I
should
think
find
we
out.
need to be really responsible. We have a tenant who's been there for a number of years,
Exactly.
has paid his rent on time. May. You know, I think we need to recognize that it's not easy to find a rent heading into winter. And I think, so there are two things I feel we need to be responsible for. One is to, as long as it's safe, if it's not safe, then we have a different story. And the other is the Historical Society is using it to store things now.
Right.
We have an obligation to make sure that we can accommodate them. They put a lot of money into that. So that they are not all of a sudden in the middle of winter with a lot of their people away saying, oh, guess what, we're gonna take this down. So maybe we look, I'm just
but the
thinking
voters,
about.
the voters have to decide.
The voters
So
have
nothing
to
would
vote.
happen,
Now till next spring or
right,
something.
nothing would happen until
Right.
after town meeting anyway,
Right.
So that we just let people know long ahead of time that we're gonna make the Historical Society. Right, whether that means we need to give them back money, I don't know what that means. And that we're gonna be fair to our tenant. And which, you're right, that gets us into spring.
Easily.
After, yeah, it's gonna be summer, because it's gonna be spring when it's voted on,
Right,
right? And then action takes place after that. So it seems to me like by informing and educating the renter, that,
Right.
you know, be aware
yeah,
That
they
there
were
might
like
be a
May
decision.
1st or something, whatever.
that they have to be finding, not
Yeah.
that they will, but you know. It will probably be a warrant article, and if this vote occurs, he or she will have to find a new place to live, and that's.
And we should have a breakdown of this, something similar to this for number 10. To say, this is what we have for cost at 10, so we make sure that when the voters look at it, they know, here's what we're looking at, here's what we're looking at for the next one. So that
Again, it's gonna be a shot in the dark,
I,
because
all we can do is give our best estimates.
we don't.
and
know
preface
what's in
it.
the attic, or
Yeah.
Insulation, and there's no attic access. When they
Yeah.
built that, they sheet rock right over it.
No, we do the best we can,
Yeah,
but I think the voters need to be informed as to what the issues are,
right?
and then they'll make a decision accordingly.
Well, an attic access is easy. Kind of frame it. Screw the things up and then you have attic access.
Yeah.
So we can get in there easy enough, because when it must be $500 to do one of my homes, because we didn't have one either.
It's doable.
Yeah.
I think it's doable. So,
So that was my question. Are we looking
Yeah.
at them both together? And the answer is yes.
yeah, I think we. Do you think we should do one warrant article or two?
One.
Do you think there'd be people feeling differently about one or the other?
I don't think you're gonna get the people that I've talked to, well, let me rephrase that. The people that have asked me questions as to what the heck is going on over there, you're gonna get taken down. I've heard more people say the town of Belgrade should not be in the rental business, especially where we gotta put as much money as we have to. Taxpayer money into those buildings that we will never get back out. Never.
So I guess my question is, should we do it? And we can talk about that later, one article or two. But just. I would not want people to say, well, they're gonna throw the historical society out and I'm gonna vote against it because of that. So that you at least separate the two issues, but just one thought.
Well, hopefully we can come up with a plan for the historical society.
Right,
town meeting.
before town meeting, absolutely.
Historical Society. For a good dry storage location. North Belgrade Community Center has plenty of basement space.
Huh.
Plenty of basement space. The only thing that's down there is a few 6x6s, which probably just could go away because I don't foresee us ever using them. Some tire storage. And food pantry stuff, and that's just overflow stuff sitting on pallets.
Is it a full height basement?
I walk in there, cause I clean out cobwebs while I'm doing it, but I walk in.
I mean, it had a floorboard in there,
Yeah.
so it's a little shorter than normal, but it's,
It's perfectly usable,
you can walk around.
and there's heat down there, so it's dry.
It was all foam.
Yeah.
There was a bunch of foam put around the foundation and everything else.
Okay,
We also-
That sounds like a good possibility.
Well, we also want to keep in mind that each of some of the folks in the historical society, so whether or not it's easy to access, because if they're gonna be.
Go, they go into the outside
Yeah,
access.
they
There's
can
that outside.
walk right into the basement,
There's an
walk right
outside
in,
door
yeah.
that's dug down, it's almost basically.
and you can back right up to that door too, so.
Yeah.
okay. All right.
So
Just
any-
want to make sure we're respectful of it.
Absolutely.
Okay, and so just remind me, Lorna, by what date do we have to have
I don't,
warrants decided?
yeah, I don't
January.
have that list. Mary was.
It's
just
usually early
mentioning-
January.
Yeah, Mary was just mentioning
Yeah.
it to me today. She had all the dates ready because we were talking about nomination papers and all that. So
Right.
once she finalizes, that gives me, that set of dates. I'll push that out to all of you.
Right.
Okay, so we
But
want
usually
to, so we want
January,
to,
we
we want
finish
to
it
have
up.
our vote on this probably in December.
Yes,
Right,
I would say.
yeah. Okay,
I
We
might,
have to get
Our
that-
language on the warrant article.
right,
I might be inclined to go with two warrant articles to just uncouple things
Mhm.
in case there is pushback from them. But that's just my own thinking.
yeah, that's my feeling, but I can certainly be
I could be
persuaded.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I honestly think it'd be an easy vote.
yeah,
I think a lot of people will vote
yeah,
how Corey said, but I
No.
don't wanna have things wound around the axle and then have the whole thing fall down.
right. Melanie, do you think one or two? Do you have a preference?
I think two is cleaner, and we purchased them as one, but it was one property.
Yeah.
Dan,
Dan,
That's
one,
fine.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Okay,
Just do it as two.
just so we,
Yeah, that's fine.
just so we have it
That's
for it. Okay,
And then the question that I was thinking in terms of the slab is, you know, what's the best use of that space for recreation programs? And, you know, do we want to be committed to having a slab in the garage there? Or, I mean, I guess the way that building is, there's plenty of others with number 8 gone, there's still plenty of empty space to use
Yeah.
for recreation programs, so,
Well, and
Yeah,
you do
slab
have a
it.
committee looking at long range view too, so,
right.
okay. Right, any other discussion we need on Dalton? Just to get it out there and going. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
I am
Corey.
gonna have the work done about that, and I'm going want to seal the holes. And fix the stairs, replace the treads. There's a couple other things. My only. We gotta have some tree work done, so gonna have those taken, tree work done around there. too.
Yeah.
So
And
why
clean.
wasn't that done when they came and removed those other trees?
That has nothing to do with Dalton, they want trees that are next to the structure trimmed up or removed, so.
Right, but we just had all season over there, so the whole season's taken down the hazard trees and the ones.
Not around Dalton.
Right, so that's what I'm wondering is why didn't we? Because that's been on the radar from MMA. I would have thought one fell.
This is the first thing I've heard from MMA about removing trees from around Dalton. It's the first time I've ever been there with them. So,
I think we had the hazard trees done way before we got a
There were these
report.
ones that were just done, we trimmed stuff back over the little cottage, we just paid.
Oh,
a
that just goes
significant
to-
amount of it.
those were nothing to do with MMA. That was the damage to the roof, and those two trees were rotted in the center. So those two trees that I had removed was in anticipation of jacking the camp up and putting a new roof on it. Though that had nothing to do with MMA. That
No,
was.
but I think what she's saying is while they were down there.
Well, over there,
Could
we
have had
just say,
addressed
MMA
that.
wants these trees to come.
Right.
Because Lord knows we took other trees down that weren't supposed to come down, so.
Laura, would you, ask the realtor who's handling the rental to, let our tenant know there's been a discussion so that he doesn't hear it on the grapevine or
Right.
hear it throughout town. At least let him know that we're looking at it. It wouldn't be until the spring. And he may find something in February that he would love to take. But just so that he doesn't hear it secondhand.
Right,
And enough people know about it that I don't want it to be.
very good point.
So,
We need to inform and educate that person.
Right. okay,
And maybe we invite him to the meetings we were discussing.
Yeah.
The situation.
Absolutely. Why not?
okay. So as we hop around our agenda, we now come to, under new business cemeteries. We have a request from Macbeth to purchase cemetery plots in Pine Grove Cemetery. Yes, I need to read this into the record. The family of Macbeth has made a request to the town of Belgrade to purchase 2 burial lots in Pine Grove Cemetery. The cemetery committee has reviewed the request and recommends the sale. You'll see the original email request and the response from the cemetery committee. Do you want me to read the whole request into the record?
That would be nice,
Huh?
that would be nice.
Okay, dear Sexton, my mom, Lynn Macbeth, and I are writing to request a purchase of 2 burial lots in the Belgrade Pine Grove Cemetery. My father, Donald Macbeth, passed away last night unexpectedly. He spent many of his 84 years enjoying Great Pond in North Belgrade. My father came to Hatch Cove as a child with Mabel Hatch and her children. He spent many a summer with the Hatch boys at Log Haven and working, picking corn and doing odd jobs in the area. After attending UMaine Orono and beginning his career, my dad married my mom and started a family. My mom's family hailed from Greenville, Maine, and my mom spent her summers on Monson Pond. Once my parents had kids, we all came to stay at Log Haven as well. 6 weeks of wonderful summer in a log cabin number 10 without TV or a phone or a laundry machine. After years of renting, my parents bought their property, 101 Hill Farm Road, North Belgrade, in the year 2000. Over time, my dad purchased more land behind the waterfront property on which he took careful care of his trees and plants. There was nowhere else on earth that my father enjoyed more than Maine, and nowhere else where he would like to lay and rest. He requested cremation and would like his ashes to be here. Kind regards, Denise Macbeth Marshall and Lynn Macbeth. And this was sent on Saturday, October 19th. And we have Phil, are you here from the cemetery committee?
We definitely approve of it.
Okay, so we have the approval from the cemetery committee. They do qualify for our guidelines, so.
Checked all the boxes and we.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
that's what I was saying, they do qualify for
Yeah.
Yeah,
all the time and everything else.
so I move that we honor the request to purchase burial lots for the Macbeth family.
Second,
All in favor, Melanie,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Barbara?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
I'll vote yes, so that's 5 yeses. And if you'll let them know, take care of that. And next on the agenda is assessing abatements and supplementals. We have 3 before us. So the first one is a supplemental tax certificate and warrant 36 MRSA section 713. Tax year on warrant number 2024 to 2026. I, the undersigned assessor of the town of Belgrade, Kennebec, County of Kennebec, State of Maine, do hereby commit Mary Vogel, tax collector, the following supplemental tax in the amount of $30,099, which were omitted from assessment or were invalid or void by reason of illegality or irregularity from the April 1st, 2024 valuation records. The powers of the original warrant dated June 18th, 2024 for calendar year 2024 are extended by virtue of Title 36 MRSA Section 713 as amended. The payments are due December 30th, 2024. Interest begins to accrue December 31st of 2024. This is for Brian and Amy Bernatchez, lot 17-1A. And the reason is a tree growth removal penalty. So I move that we grant this, that we approve this tax certificate and warrant.
Second.
Any discussion?
And just to note that they requested that the lot be removed from the tree growth.
Right, yes,
And so then they are probably aware, are we?
Yeah,
right. They
to-
apparently want to sell the land,
Right,
I would guess. So they saying, we're gonna pay what
Rob
we would
met with
pay.
them.
Yeah.
So
the
there's
property
full
pay.
They are
awareness.
good, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Fully
That's all I
aware.
want to know.
Yeah.
Perfect.
okay, Dan, do you vote on these? No, so Dan, is abstaining, Barbara,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes,
Melanie?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes, so that's 4 yes and 1 abstention. The next one is supplemental tax certificate and warrant 36 MRSA section 713. Tax and warrant year 2024 to 07. I, the undersigned assessor of the town of Belgrade, County of Kennebec, State of Maine, hereby do commit Mary Vogel, tax collector, the following supplemental tax in the amount of $50,000.
No,
Excuse me,
no.
$5,000. I'm hearing it in the wrong place. $500, which were omitted from assessment or were invalid or void by reason of illegality or irregularity from April 1, 2024 valuation records. The powers of the original warrant dated June 18th, 2024 for calendar year 2024 are extended by virtue of Title 36 MRSA Section 713 as amended. Payments due December 30th, 2024. Interest begins to accrue December 31st, 2024. This is for Sean Landry. Map lot 17-31. The amount is $500 and it is an administrative penalty on a failure to file.
Here's the explanation.
Uh,
Here's the explanation. Right there,
yeah.
if you want to read that into the.
Oh, this is administrative penalty for failure to file after giving the required 185-day notice.
so the owner had received the notice and then it more than 185 days had transpired and we had not.
I
done
had not
anything.
paid it. Yep.
Okay, great.
So I move we approve this supplemental tax certificate and warrant.
Second.
All in favor, Melanie,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes,
Barbara?
Yes.
I'll vote yes, and Dan, you will be abstaining. And then our third one is supplemental tax certificate and warrant 36 MRSA section 713. Tax and warrant number 2024-08. I, the undersigned assessor of the town of Belgrade, County of Kennebec, State of Maine, do hereby commit Mary Vogel, tax collector, the following supplemental tax in the amount of $237.50, which were omitted from the assessment or were invalid or void by reason of illegality or irregularity from the April 1, 2024 valuation records. The powers of the original warrant dated June 18th, 2024 for the calendar year 2024 are extended by virtue of Title 36 MRSA, Section 713 as amended. Payments are due December 30th, 2024. The interest begins to accrue December 31st, 2024. This is for Valhalla Trust, map and lot 16-4. The amount is $237.50, and this is for an improper homestead exemption. Mr. Brunel filed a homestead exemption for this property, declaring it to be his primary residence. Those statements were false, so the exemption was removed.
I'll make that motion.
Second,
All in favor, Melanie? Peter?
Yes.
Barbara?
yes.
I'll vote yes, and Dan is abstaining, so 4 yeses, 1 abstention. And that takes us to other business. And we only have one, do we have,
Mr. Martin,
yeah,
stopped in to see me this morning and asked about the possibility of the board allowing him to keep his boat in the garage on the property that we're looking at, have under purchase and sale. He said that he had spoken with Fire Chief Dan McKenzie about it. Dan and I had played phone tag, but we saw his response. That we would likely want a release from liability and fire protection. Of course, we haven't paid any money or finalized the purchase yet either.
So for clarification, was he looking to keep the boat on the property until the sale is finalized?
Until after.
Yeah, because I don't see how we can have a private citizen at the fire department having private citizens' property on their property.
So it's not the fire department's property, it's town property, so
Right.
what I think what he wants to do is he wants to store it for the winter. What it
Right.
sounds like.
And if he can't, then he just needs to know that so that he can find another place to store it.
Yeah.
But he said he needed to know.
But what we could do. I got thinking about this earlier today, what we could do is that once we own it. We could rent him the space, just like a rental property for $1. Until we tear the place down. And as long as we're renting it, then it's up to him to have renter's insurance if he wants to insure his boat.
right, he'd have to have a vote, and he'd have to hold us harmless, even though it doesn't beat a clock, but.
You know, as long as the building, totally tear the building down, it's not like the fire department's gonna use it for anything else.
Right,
Right, but then that's my thought, is there like a time frame on this, like you can store the boat here until.
when do we make our
until we
second
start
payment?
Construction.
We won't make the first one until we sign the sale. And then the next payment, because there are 2, will be next year. It's broken up for tax purposes.
Okay, so when did we think that sale's gonna be completed?
I believe the legal document says December of this year.
December of
Is
this year.
is the expiration date of the purchase
Purchase
and
and
sale
sale.
agreement.
And can we buy this and not muck up our grant, the grant with Senator Collins and King's office?
I do not know that it will muck up.
We should check that to make sure.
Because what we looked at is our 25% of the grant of the cost of the project. The purchase is part of that.
Right,
It doesn't put
Purchase of
us
land.
over, yeah,
Purchase
it
of
doesn't put us
Right.
over.
now, remember they said don't do too much because then that changes those numbers.
Right, we
so-
can purchase the land. We're
Okay.
not
I think
breaking ground.
would purchase it.
Yeah, okay,
We don't wanna break ground,
no,
Good
Can't-
question, though.
not until, yeah, I've asked her that question. I would
Okay.
have to dig back through emails, but.
okay,
See, I don't know, back to the boat, I mean, to me, if we own it, we aren't tearing anything down until we actually start any construction. If, as long as we find the right way to do it, I don't have where they probably leave it about there.
Just gotta make sure we cross the T's.
Right. Like I said, we may have to rent it to them for $1.
I don't have a problem.
Yeah, it's
No
no
problem.
different than, renting the other properties down here. Then
Right.
the tenants are responsible for,
Everything.
Right,
renters insurance if they have.
Mm.
Their materials, we're only responsible for the buildings.
yeah, so what he'll need is a boat policy, Lorna, to protect his boat. Cause we wouldn't assume the liability.
And I don't think Dan didn't have a problem with it, right?
Dan said something about.
Release from liability and fire protection.
There you go. Right, which,
Well, no, a boat policy will cover the
This would
boat
cover
and the
that.
liability from the boat.
right,
It's not a renter's policy, because that's, boats are excluded in a renter's policy.
and if he doesn't wanna get that policy, then he'll.
On him.
we'll just-
Right, he's totally at risk. The risk is all his. If he chooses
Yeah.
not to insure it. That's his,
It's his choice.
As long as we're held by lock,
But we would have a lease with him,
yeah, as long as we're
Good
not
job.
held for any.
Uh-huh.
so we would have a lease. We would have a lease.
I
with
think
him
we
for
should have an
storage,
agreement.
An
Yeah.
agreement,
yeah,
an agreement that
That
he's,
holds us. No, no.
right. I mean, right now, he owns the property, so we can store his boat there,
Right.
right?
right.
But in this, by the time that we own it, then we should just have an agreement that he's got to insure his boat himself. And that we are,
Yeah, but
have no
we might be able to
responsibility.
check with our lawyer anyway, because a lot of places when you buy a property, it's written right into the sales agreement that. I'm gonna stay here for a month until I move
Right,
on.
they do
They
some,
might be able to just write that
write that, the purchase is
into
the
the
final
purchase.
thing, yeah,
into the purchase of it.
okay.
That would solve
Alright.
all the problems.
Okay, do we need to vote on this?
I was gonna say, do we need to vote to put it on the record?
I think so.
Okay, I move that we work out an agreement with Mr. Martin to store his boat in the garage on the proposed new fire department property.
Second. I'll
Through,
second that,
through this spring.
through this.
I don't wanna continue it into next year.
Oh, no,
Just
Okay.
through this.
through
spring
this,
season.
through until
To
May 1st or June 1st. Pick a number,
Okay, June 1st.
June 1st, that you have time to get it in. Okay, all in favor, Dan?
Yeah.
Barbara?
Yes,
Peter?
Yes.
Melanie?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes, so it's 5 yeses. Okay, any other issues?
Yeah, so I just wanna put about in the boards here. Doesn't have to be something we have to do, or we don't have to decide anything tonight, but I would like for us to consider a warrant article. I'm doing last year's warrant article, taking $500,000 out, that doesn't mean it, and putting in the fund for purchasing land for future public works department. So I would request that we consider drafting a warrant article that takes that $500,000 and puts it back in the undesignated fund. Because determine we weren't going to do a public works department through the ad hoc committee and getting a contractor and all the stuff that we said we were gonna do.
Right,
So I would like for us to wind that clock if possible and put that money back because that's $500,000 that we can't do anything with.
so that
So
would
you
be
said-
another warrant article if we.
Yeah, so.
Yeah.
Let's use the one, as we use the one we had last year, or this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else under other business? Okay, let's go to warrants. So I move that we approve warrant number 120, payroll warrant number 120, in the amount of $21,918.23. All in favor, Melanie,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Barbara,
yes,
Dan?
Yes,
And I vote yes, so that's 5 yeses. I move we approve AP warrant number 121 in the amount of $91,503.86.
second,
Okay, anything on here that anyone has questions on? I got mine all answered, so I'm fine.
All look okay to me.
When you hold the payment on the door until the door is properly installed with the right threshold handicap accessibility. Because it's one of those things, once we pay them, who says they're gonna come back and when they're supposed to come tomorrow? But that door is not handicap accessible.
Which company is that from?
Is it Burt's?
Yeah, but what is Bert's? Because
I'm
that's
checking.
$3,000.
What page is it?
That's on, it starts on the bottom of page one and carries on to page two.
Oh, Birth Security Center.
Because that just for installing the power thing to the door is
Yeah, I'm sure it's the handicap. Right,
the button.
but the electric overhead tensioning close device. I'm sure it's all of
Okay,
that.
so this isn't the, I was thinking this was the thing itself. But then I was like, why is Bart's door only going to sell? And that seems like a pretty significant number for that, because that's already here.
Probably, we could probably
Wait.
use them.
We've had to replace everything. The door that was on there was not a commercial door originally,
Oh. And it's swung the wrong
Right.
way.
swung the wrong way. I haven't gotten used to the other way yet, but I suppose we will at some point. I've got a couple of.
So do we hold payment on that until it's completed? And I don't think we should be in the habit of paying.
Yeah, I said that is installed.
We haven't even done it.
I'll probably check until it's installed.
Well, we
should-
could,
we
we could,
We shouldn't have an invoice on it yet, because the work's not complete, normally you're not.
right,
invoiced
I mean, we
until
could hold the check, we won't have a meeting for 3 weeks, so he may want his
Yeah,
money
I have a
before that.
invoice here with that.
But if we hold it until it's done. Does that make sense?
I just remove it from the warrant, but the work is completed.
It's been a
Goes to
payment of
town,
31,
goes to that warrant.
34.
The payment that's on here.
Okay. And I've got this must be the doors.
Yeah, just check it out.
Pulled out,
$3,134.
and then labor to install.
There's something.
So that would be, so it's like half. It looks like half is done and half is left. Is that how you would read it?
Yeah, it looks like it's almost $6,000 to install all this stuff.
Yeah.
And that includes the,
So
The
if you
door and the
held,
stuff.
yeah, all the.
so if you
cement.
held that 31, 34, it looks like you're holding the last half of the payment. Does that make sense? That's how I read it, don't you, Dan?
Have we paid some on it already?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
It looks like,
Yeah, it
it
says
looks like
payment, thank you, $33,134.
half has been paid.
Oh, yeah.
And what did was that? Because I don't remember seeing that come across on a warrant.
I want to say, let me look here. No, the front door is Lemelin and Sons Carpentry.
Oh,
$2,182. If you look at warrant 122,
Oh, that's the next one.
yeah. So this is just the hardware.
Right, we're trying to figure out when the first payment was made.
Oh,
No, it doesn't,
um,
no, it doesn't remember when the first payment was made.
I don't,
Because it's not on this one, this is.
it had to have been done, the last. The last meeting. There's not many new things.
Either way, this is the second payment for the total balance. that's
If you
remaining.
hold
I
it,
don't think
then-
I don't think we should be paying it until the thing's done.
I don't think we should be paying, I don't think we should pay anybody till they're done and they're done correctly.
That was fun.
Yeah,
That was fun, rest of that.
cause like I go to the journal, I'm like, what? I was like. Okay, that's tricky if you're not in a wheelchair.
What's it needed? It needs a different, transition.
Yeah.
Piece.
Transom or something.
Something, I mean, picture someone in a wheelchair,
Yeah,
they're gonna hit that and go right over.
That's not good.
No, that's the last thing. we want.
yes, agree.
So. Are we going to approve 121 for the total amount, but just administratively hold the check, hold the payment until the work is done, or do we
I
subtract?
would subtract it from the warrant.
Okay,
When the work is completed, and we're invoiced on the completion, then we send that payment.
But so I don't. The 3134 looks like it's for the hardware.
The hardware being the electrical.
Right,
The-
right, it's not the door. Look at warrant 122.
Right.
Right, so that's what I'm saying.
That's the one you would-
But this isn't done either.
Right, well, they can't do that until the
Right.
door, they're coming, what do you say, next week, November 7th?
You know, they don't get paid until then.
I think it's November, they're coming next week to do that, but they're coming tomorrow to fix the threshold.
Yeah.
Yeah, while we're closed,
Mhm.
so no traffic in and out.
So my suggestion would be to remove that amount from this one. For the.
I guess my only concern is,
And then the work, if it's completed November 7th, it goes on the next warrant.
Yeah, we're not, we won't have a checkout until after the 19th of November.
Okay.
because we've got 3 weeks in there. I mean, I could see us approving it, just not giving it to them until they've done the
We've got
work.
30 days for that, if somebody does work for the town and we have to pay them.
Right, but it's a small business, so it makes it hard for them if they paid out of pocket for these materials and then.
I mean, Burt's has been in business for 50 years. They're fantastic people, but I don't think that we should be in the habit of paying for something that kills them. Because then we're chasing people to fix.
What does anyone else
I
think?
mean, we've already paid half of it. And it's no different than anything else. If you're having work done at the home and you pay half up front when the work is completed. They invoice you and pay the additional half.
Well, if we don't pay that one, then we don't pay the one on warrant 122 either.
No, I would hold that one until that's done and then it meets 80-year requirements.
I guess my feeling is we've had such a hard time getting anyone to come and work on that door. If we have someone who can work on it,
We've waited months.
that we have the money ready to pay them when they complete it, not give it to them until it's completed. But that's one person's opinion.
Right, I would be in favor of writing the check and holding it until the job is done.
I can live with that.
Dan, are you comfortable with that?
Yeah, because I mean, we can always rip the check out. If it-
Right,
Right, if they somehow don't do the work or whatever.
Well, then maybe we're noticed when the check goes up.
then what?
Maybe we're noticed that the check goes up. The work's completed, the work has been.
Yeah, just let us
inspected.
know that it's.
Right, yes, right, yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, anything else on warrant 121? Any other questions?
Yes. On page 2, we're paying Civic Plus 55.75 for hosting .gov.
That's the. Bill, I can't remember what we
The domain
decided,
change.
the name change, yes.
But
It has it.
We don't have it yet, I keep after her, she has sent it to the DNS.
Yeah.
People,
People,
yes. So I've been in contact with her probably once a week, trying to get this finalized. We've completed the paperwork, paid the additional fee for the .gov addition. And just waiting for them to do the thing on their end.
So why are we paying $7 plus extra for that first?
Because we're going to keep, they're going to automatically send people to the new .gov address for a year. So even if people put in townofbelgrade.com, it will automatically go to the new .gov address, so that it gives us time to promote the new domain name.
Mhm.
And get people used to going there, because after a year, they won't find us unless they
Right.
go
Right.
to the .gov.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah, it does.
I didn't even know we had a golf cart.
Is this on page 3, the golf cart?
We've been,
I didn't even know we had a golf cart.
we've been using, the Key West card.
So number one,
Right.
why are we using K-Wisp golf cart? And why are we paying for any repairs to it?
It is extremely helpful for the maintenance and cemetery crews. Doing work in the cemetery, going back and forth.
Or maybe we need to look at getting, number one, the board. I wasn't aware, maybe somebody else was aware. That the board is using a private organization's equipment for town business, for town property stuff. Because I would have said no right from the get-go, because we don't own it. So it's gonna be one of those deals, we break it, we bought it. So if we need a golf cart, then maybe we put that, maybe we look at how we get a golf cart. But we shouldn't be repairing something that doesn't belong to the town. And we shouldn't be using it.
I'll tell them to return that and not to.
Or we should have a formal arrangement with them to
Right.
share the equipment or rent the equipment or whatever. There should be
Yeah, it's just,
some kind of formal understanding that, we're,
So we shouldn't pay for something that we don't own either, we shouldn't be paying $279.
And if we had like some sort of formal arrangement, that sort of maintenance part could be built into the arrangement.
right,
So-
for the fee of $500 a year, we're gonna share the K-Risk
Yeah.
golf cart.
Yeah.
So maybe that's the kind of agreement that we need is,
And share in the cost of maintenance of it.
right,
So-
right.
what did Kalos use a golf cart for?
Huh?
What did they use a golf cart for?
Probably for
Driving around.
driving around,
baseball
moving
fields,
things,
sports
if
fields.
there, aren't they? Maybe
Yes.
taking food into the shack and moving garbage, I don't know.
Yeah, but if it's sitting up here for the cemeteries, how are they using it? So what are they using it for?
I didn't see him on the road doing it, like.
I don't know, can't
I
answer
don't know.
that question.
Maybe K-West just wants to sell a golf cart if we're gonna maintain it.
Yeah.
Well, so I think the $279.95, we shouldn't be paying for this work.
Unless we broke it.
Mhm. Let's check and see what the,
Yeah, can we get
We need
more
some more
information?
information.
What is the,
Yeah.
I'll pull the invoice, who's it to?
Goodrow and Sons.
Yeah, we're doing some golf carts. So it's just like my business I sold, my flatbed trailers, my box trailers. I allow them to use them, but the agreement is you break it, you fix it,
Right.
and that's the deal like a. So,
Yeah.
we haven't even know what this kind of deal we've got with these, with Key West.
I'm sure it was well intentioned.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Someone said, hey, let's just use it, but.
Starter
We should have
brushes,
decided yesterday.
Yeah, so it sounds to me like they had this, have to start every day.
yeah,
starter brushes.
No.
I'm sorry.
you just,
Okay, so is that,
Get that
is it gonna
clarified.
come off the warrant or stay on?
Well, we broke it, we should.
Right now, it's been fixed, and we're gonna have to pay for it, but I think we need to find out what's going on.
We need to find out when it was broken and if we broke it.
It's
Maybe
not,
we have something that says. We were joyriding with us on the cemetery, we bought the sweeper brushes.
Yeah, so it's a starter brush, it's a start.
Yeah.
They'd ever starter rebuilt, probably wouldn't start,
That's just from use.
just like they used to rebuild starter brushes in
And how
cars.
long have you been using?
Didn't they use it for the fireworks after Cindy Davidson's, was it?
We used it for the, planting of the
Geranium.
flowers for Memorial Day. We loaded out the back of it with, the pallets of, the little geraniums.
Yeah.
And drove it all over the cemetery,
yeah,
and planted all of the flowers, and that was incredibly helpful.
oh, yeah,
Oh, I'm sure it was.
It sounds like we've been using it over the course of the spring and summer.
Yes,
So
I
it's
know
like if
I know we used it for the flowers when we went up and planted.
right, so if we've used it and now it's broken, I think we have that responsibility.
Right,
I would advocate we keep this in and pay for it, but at the same time, find out a little bit more information, get an MOU together, make the arrangement official, and let's move forward on this, so.
right,
I agree.
okay.
Okay, me again. And it's Chevrolet, why did we still owe another $250?
Dan said that he thought maybe the price he gave us was short. Dan, the one that Dan gave us.
So I know in my business, if you haven't paid the whole thing, you're not paying the truck. So there shouldn't be invoicing us for anything after the city is finalized, unless we added something to it after the fact.
Well, I know this truck's got that. Guard on the back bed in front of the rear windows now with the lights, backup lights, and brake lights and everything.
Help that.
So I'm wondering if that's something, something that was added on.
I don't see, oh, here we go.
Yeah, so I was like, $250, when you can wire something. But it's not the remainder, it shouldn't be the remainder on that truck, because you can't read the law without being paid.
So the cash price was 54,485, and the other additions were 1599. I remember those on the invoice. So the total price 56,084. Documentation fee 349, subtotal 56,433, total due 56,434. We did a deposit of $1,000, balance 55,184. So they obviously got paid less than 55,184. There was a $250 balance.
That's it. That's your 250. Yeah.
Anything else?
Was that it? Melanie, do you have anything else?
Oh, no, I did have one more.
Huh?
Page 6, we have shipped for the ball field trees to the tune of $750.
The trees were gifted.
Right.
She asked for us to pay the shipping, which is split 50-50 with RSU 18. So it was a cost of $375 for, in a sense, for those 3 trees. $375 for us and $375 for RSU 18.
We paid $750. Honestly.
Yeah, we've already sent an invoice. I've already spoken with Carl Gartley on the phone. They'll pay the $375.
So we're paying it up, we're paying it up front, they're sending us a
Right,
check.
they're sending
Yeah.
us, we've already sent
There you go.
a bill to them.
Okay, one more, sorry, page 8, the village green. The handicap, porta potties. $295, we were paying $175 in the previous.
There are two with the green in.
Handicap is more expensive.
Which is why we went to the 175, because we had the handicap was 175 and the other one was, I think it was 100 or not gonna quarter. So we're now paying $600 for two.
This is 2 months worth.
August and September.
Okay.
There's.
I'd asked that question earlier, that's why I said my question, I got my answer,
Good.
so. So that's 2 months,
That helps explain that
yeah,
cost.
Okay,
okay. Anyone else have anything? Okay, all in favor of approving warrant 121, Melanie,
yes.
Peter,
Yes,
Barbara,
Yes,
Dan?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes, so that's 5 yeses. I move we approve warrant number 122. In the amount of $12,522.54.
second,
Any discussion, other than we'll hold the check until the work's done?
right.
And inspected, make sure it meets all the requirements.
Okay, all in favor, Dan,
Yes.
Barbara,
yes,
Peter,
Yes,
Melanie?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes. And then, I move we approve warrant number 123 in the amount of $29,368.90.
second,
Okay. All in favor, Melanie?
you
Peter,
said yes, yes,
Barbara,
yes,
Dan,
Yes.
and I vote yes, so that takes us through the warrant articles. And that brings us to,
Real quick, before we get too far off there, because we were talking about the door, what are we gonna do about that outside transition from the pavement, to the cement, that's always been there? Are we gonna find a way to smooth that out too?
from the,
We'll go out the door, look at it tonight, but see you've got, the door sits on the cement pad.
Yeah.
You've got a lip like that, where it drops down to the pavement.
Yeah, that's why they're coming tomorrow to fix that. That's what, Melanie.
I thought they were coming to fix the threshold tomorrow.
Well, I assume that's what they mean by fixing it, right? So that a wheelchair can come in, right?
better be.
Yeah, see, I don't know if they're down with the construction company that put the door in, is gonna be fixing the outside, it's always been wrong. So. We'll look at it when we leave,
Yeah,
maybe you'll understand what I'm asking.
okay. Lorna, you're up.
Pretty short. The fire station building, committee has a meeting. Next week, November 6th, and the comprehensive plan public input meeting. I sent you out a flyer for that.
Flyer, yeah.
Posted that to Facebook, is November 20th at the Center for All Seasons. We've been having our weekly, I said TO, which means town office, so every Monday morning at 6:45, we have a meeting to go over, what's happening for the week, who needs help, that sort of thing. We'll have a department head meeting Friday, select board meeting on the 15th, and then, budget meeting on the 22nd. Front door at the town office has been replaced. The installer should be here midweek, to finish up, and a new opener installed next week. So they'll be here tomorrow, and then the opener will be done next week. The painting of the buildings, which was a question at your last meeting, the Workman Field should be finished up. Corey wasn't certain if it would be finished at the end of this week or the end of next. So I said a couple of weeks. The summer sailing program has come up again. The yacht club is going to purchase the boats from Sail Maine. They're going to house them, they'll insure them. But they will come up with a legal agreement for the town if the town wants to run the sailing
Sailing
program camp for youth in the summertime. They would allow us to use the boats for a nominal fee. We would have to have a certificate of liability insurance. To give to them. I think there were a couple of other questions our insurance had. She just got back to me this afternoon. I said, what, I want to get all of this information so I could bring it to you all. So I'm still working on that. Once I have everything together, I'll bring that to you and probably some of the folks from the yacht club as well. To see what you think and consider that.
So if the town doesn't take over running it, would the yacht club run it on their?
That I don't know. Yeah, that I don't know. We're scheduling Parks and Recreation Director, Deputy Clerk, and the custodial maintenance position interviews. The handicap parking spaces they've been working on this week down at Center for All Seasons. Corey said those should be finished up. I'm gonna hope they are by the end of this week. That would be helpful for voting. Yeah. next week.
Right on.
The rec director, you have one of the select board members sitting on that interviewing committee, it's normally you step. Any of those big department heads, or somebody from the select board.
I just had confirmation for interviews yesterday afternoon, so I haven't put anything out. I have Mary, Dan, Corey, and myself, and I welcome anybody else who would like to sit on that as well.
When is that?
Thursday at 10.
Thursday at 10.
This Thursday?
Yeah, this Thursday.
I'm not available.
No, you either.
Oh, that's November 7th. Let me look.
Sure, what's Thursday? Halloween?
It is.
October 31st.
I could do like an hour. I mean, I can't do all morning, but I could do 10 to 11.
Yes, it should be.
Anyone else?
I only
available?
I'm
Would rather
I'm
do
only
it.
scheduling 10 to 11, so.
Thank you for even offering. It's hard when it's during business.
Well, you got
It is-
people
it is
working,
hard,
I know.
But we always, like I said, we always used to have one select board, any of the department head type positions, whether it's maintenance director or, you know. Yeah.
How many interviews do we have, Lorna?
I only have one.
10, you said. Okay,
But we're still running the ad, right? 'Cause
Yes, 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 yes.
okay, I've got it in.
And I've got one other question, because I never put stuff in for some reason, my calendar is more, I screwed it up. When are we doing the budget? Days?
Yeah.
So I can get this in my calendar again, I think I wrote it down. That's what it is.
Nothing's been set in stone yet. I came up with a list of available dates. With a note that the budget committee has met 3 meetings, and we have 1 follow-up to do. For reserve accounts and anything else remaining or any questions they might have, so 4 meetings. 3 to 4 meetings would likely wrap everything up for the select board, and then we could work on warrant articles. So I know I gave you all a whole laundry list of dates to see when you might be available, but those were not all meant that I was suggesting we would meet on all of those.
Oh, you sent those out by email, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So you're
Oh,
responding.
okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes. So if you would like to pick 3 or 4 dates. The budget committee meetings were running about an hour and a half, so it didn't take up everybody's whole evening.
So could
It
we do
worked.
it where they've done the hard work? Could we do it in 2 evenings or not?
You may be able to, the budgets are pretty straightforward.
Yeah,
Basically, everybody's flat. The only things that have increased are things that we don't have control over. Like the delta and like that.
yeah,
But everybody was really good, keeping budgets down.
okay.
Do you want these sheets to take a look?
I think we should pick at least one between now and our next meeting. So they're not all the way into
Oh, I
December.
just, I want to get them the calendar because
Right.
if not, my calendar's gonna start getting full. and
Right.
I
Yeah.
Can't make it.
Thank you.
Okay,
Yeah, because there's a few things that we're gonna need to talk about. I don't know if anybody's been watching the budget meetings. But there are a few things that the code enforcement officer essentially looking to a 36-hour position, which makes that person full-time, it's a $37,000 increase.
But we're a 40-hour a week is full-time here.
Right, but 36, they qualify for benefits in that, so.
No, they don't.
Are we different as a municipality then? Private sector.
The ACA, American Cares Act, that applies to large employers. We are not a large employer. I checked with HR.
So, well, I think I was surprised by that because I don't, that had conversation hadn't come up before. Okay, to increase the CEO's hours, we had a 15-hour CEO for decades. Then we went to 25 and now we're at 36. So, and I know Scott Ferguson had asked the question where benefits and that were part of that. So I'm not saying we have to solve it tonight. Number one, we have to decide if that's where we're going and we have to see what the impact is on the budget. And how that is handled overall. And if he's indeed working 34 hours a week, which was stated in the meeting. Then if we can see what he's doing in the 34 hours. To justify that kind of an increase in that position. There was that one, and another question I had is that streetlights had come down $600 and it was sort of glossed over by the budget committee. That maybe we're now recognizing savings. We've had the LED lights in place for several years, so if there's a $600 increase in streetlights, I'm afraid there's a mistake. Because we wouldn't have gone down $600.
Do you remember where that was so that I could check it?
Wherever the streetlights fall. I haven't had a chance to watch the last meeting, but
And you said it decreased 600.
$600.
We budgeted for code enforcement 30 hours and he's gone over that. His average this year was working 34 hours a week. The budget for 2025, I've suggested 36 hours. That does not qualify for benefits under the town. We do not meet the criteria. The state does not set a standard for part-time or full-time work hours in a week, and the American Cares Act, we do not fall under large business, which is 50, a minimum of 50 full-time employees.
So
And I
down
provided
from
that.
the-
I provided that information to Scott in the budget committee.
Yeah, we'd like to see it too. And just what the whole, how do we get to 34? Someone is supposed to be working 30 hours a week, why are we paying overtime? Because we would, I've been paying overtime if they're doing 4 hours over, is it straight pay?
It's straight pay, it's overtime is after 40 hours worked. That's standard.
So I mean, if we can just see that, so that we can decide if there's justification to go to 36, or if we still keep a 30-hour part-time CBR, which is what we had planned on. But I was just surprised by that, because we had any.
We haven't had our budget meetings yet.
Right, we've had
Well,
extensive board meetings.
I'm just looking at times. What happens if we look at November? 18th and the 25th, they're Monday nights. And we'll have an idea after the 18th. We have a meeting on the 19th, we can decide if we need. Any more than that?
So I can do,
I'm not available on the 25th.
Okay.
It's on my list. I have a medical thing that
Oh.
day.
Okay. I just realized I didn't look all the way over there, so,
can we start with the 18th maybe?
Yes, on
At
my
6?
end, I can,
Okay,
well, before we say 6, can we just check with Melanie, because
oh, that's right,
there's a.
or 6:30 should be Melanie, right?
Monday.
I can do 6, 11, I'm on by 5, Monday's my only night of the week that I have on 5 o'clock. So, we're on the 18th, we can do 6 o'clock.
We can, okay, so Monday at 6 sounds like that can work.
Okay. So Barbara, you can't do the 25th.
No,
The 26th is a Tuesday.
could do the 26th.
Are you can do the 26th?
can.
Oh.
Yeah.
What about the 26th? It's leading into Thanksgiving, so. Does
Wait.
that make a difference for anyone?
Is it ideal? No. But this is budget season.
Well, I'd just like to get it done in November and early
Yeah.
December, so it's
Yeah.
out of our way.
Yeah.
So do we want to say the
26th.
the 26th at 6:30? Does that work for you, Melanie?
Something on there right now.
I can do the 26th at 6:30. And hopefully we can, in those 2 meetings.
We'll have an idea. then
Right,
How close we are. Do we want to schedule one in December as a, in case we need it?
Not yet.
No? All right, well, let's try to do it, those 2, and then we'll know after the 18th, I think, if
Yeah.
we're gonna need a 3rd one.
give it the old college try on those 2 nights,
Right,
get through it.
push through on Monday. Okay. Anything else?
For budget meetings.
No, just anything else, and
Let's see, I had a question, but I don't want to interrupt you, Lorna. You had listed some things on the radar. I don't know if did you want to just, okay.
No, that's fine.
May I ask a question about another thing on the radar? Because we had asked or approved the contract for the slab. They go in up here, right? Who is basically gonna be the project manager to oversee, not that you have to have a lot of overseeing on it, but say. This passes muster or it does not, when that team does that work,
That would be Corey. He'll
Right.
be there.
he will be there.
Or Jason,
Yeah.
because we have to do core testing or anything to make sure that the composition is what it is supposed to
I
be.
don't know,
like he's
I
doing.
don't know anything about core innocence.
Right,
Yeah,
I've
checked
poured-
with Jason too, since he did construction.
I don't think you're gonna need to core it, not for a lean to.
right, that's, I've poured a bunch of concrete, so. I know it can be done, I just want it to be done right. That's all, because it's not a big contract, but it's an important thing
Right.
for the team up there, right?
right,
So.
Mhm.
The last thing I'd want to have somebody come in and say, oh, well, we forgot this part and who knew? So if we can avoid trouble,
right.
then let's do so. So Corey's the man
Yeah,
for the job.
Corey is the
Okay.
man.
Got you, thank you,
Okay. All right,
that is it.
if that's it, then let's anyone want to take a 5-minute break and then we'll move into a short executive session?
Yep.
2 minutes.
2-minute break? Okay, 2-minute break.
And for those of you who didn't meet Emily Williamson. Emily is my
Okay, so I move that we exit our regular select board meeting at 9:57. I mean, 8:57, I'm sorry.
Right.
Second down.
All in favor, Melanie, Peter,
Yes.
Barbara,
yes.
Dan,
Yes.
I'll vote yes, 5-0.
And I move that we go into executive session at 8:58.
Second.
Under MRSA, what?
Oh, yes, under executive session 1 MRSA subsection 4056A personnel matter. All in favor, Dan?
Yes.
Barbara?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Melanie? And I'll vote yes, so that's 5 yeses and 1 no. I mean, no.
Who knows?
Okay, I move that we enter back into regular select board meeting at 9:28.
Okay,
All in favor, Melanie?
yes.
Peter?
Yeah.
Barbara?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
I'll vote yes. It was decided the matter will be referred back to the town manager for handling. And I then move that we exit our regular meeting at 28.
Second.
All in favor, Melanie?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Barbara?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes. Very good. Okay. Yay. Now we have 3 weeks. 3 weeks and do you know how many early votes they've been getting? They've been busy.